Kia ora, I'm Keegan, also known as Velveteen Shakes. While in quarantine, I decided to do what every white man does at some point in their lives. Try to grow a beard and start a podcast. I roped my friend Cameron into producing for me and some interesting creative friends of mine into being guests. Here's the result. Welcome to the Velveteen Shakescast.
There we go. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good. You know
Yeah?
Cameron, he's my producer.
Hi.
Love it.
I won't
I've
be
seen
talking
you
on the
live.
podcast, but really?
Yeah, I have. You're an amazing musician.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually have been following a little bit of your music as well.
I'm shocked and thank you. It's cool.
Yeah. Do you know Jacob Park?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, Leaping Tiger?
Sorry.
He
I live on
He
Give
the
was
me
the
5 seconds and you already flexing the Leaping Tiger collab.
he was the one who actually put me on to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, he was the one who besides CTOA as well. But yeah.
jam
So
sellers.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm shook.
Yeah.
Cool.
That actually,
How are you,
wow.
Keegan?
I'm good. How
Yeah.
are you?
I'm great. I'm
This
living
is
my
good.
best life. My best life in existential dread. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We,
At
At
least-
least, at least
we are all
like
familiar with...
the.
I love
the
how you guys are
current-
both just like, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool, in a way that the current state of the world is like matching the insides of
What's
your
going
brain.
on in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is. It's nice.
we were just saying earlier, it's so weird. Everyone's feeling like in some sort of like weird mirror house.
Do you feel like
Yeah.
the last 4 days have just been wrong? Like there's just something wrong. It might be, I don't know,
Yeah.
the moon is full. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
Mm.
Well, I've had multiple breakdowns because Keegan knows because he watched my live
Oh no.
and on my
They're
live.
great Instagram lives.
Thank you. You know, talking about the real good shit.
Talking about simulated reality at 2 in the
Simulated
morning.
realities at 2 in the motherfucking morning. Oh, sorry, can I swear?
Yeah,
You
I
can
don't know.
absolutely swear on my podcast.
Okay.
Have you met
Okay,
me?
good. That's true. You're right.
So far there's been 2 episodes, and one of them was Keegan
Including this
interviewing
one. Oh, wait,
me when I was drunk, and we cut it because that was bad.
It was a disaster.
It was like
Oh,
a test
no.
run for whether this would work, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
god. I keep forgetting we were doing a podcast, and we pretty much just talked about Donald Glover for about an hour.
I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Last
Well,
night,
really
we
great
wouldn't want to
outtake.
talk about him for an hour, honestly.
I don't know.
We can
Last
do that
night
if you
I
want.
watched a video of people talking about him. I don't know why. But
Yeah.
Is that celebrities talk about Donald Glover video?
yeah, and they were like, "What's the best thing like about working with him?" And then Van from Atlanta is just like, "Well, he taught me that like life could be a simulation, and nothing's real." And then she just walks away, and the interviewer was like,
I
Pati,
aspire.
have you watched
That's gonna be me.
Atlanta?
Yes. Oh my god, I haven't watched the latest season, but I fucking love Atlanta.
Watch season 2 because
Season
your
2 is so good.
Instagram live reminded me of Darius in season 2.
"Oh, and
Oh,
Drake's
really?
mansion."
They're
Yeah.
at Drake's mansion and he has like a full simulation reality chat with this girl who's tripping way too hard.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh,
I need to
it's
check it
fine. They're
out.
having a good time. It's not like
It's great.
yeah. It's a very
He's living
casual
his best
chat about
life.
the fact that life isn't real.
Yeah.
Okay. That's me every day.
It gave me big Darius energy. That's what I was going to say.
Big Darius energy. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Velveteen Shakes podcast with Velveteen Shakes. I'm your host, Velveteen Shakes, and today's special guest is none other than Disciple Pati.
Woo! Thank you, Mr. Velveteen Shakes, for having me. I feel actually incredibly honored that you even want me on your podcast, in fact. So yeah, I'm feeling really grateful and humbled to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's because of the Instagram lives, honestly. I watched those and I was like, I would listen to a podcast of that.
Oh my god. You'd probably be the only one.
If you can be a good podcast guest with just yourself and an Instagram live feed, I feel like you make a good podcast guest on a podcast.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm glad you see the potential.
Yeah, so for those at home who are maybe unaware, would you like to just tell us a little bit about your background and how you went from Sapati to Disciple Pati?
To Disciple Pati, yeah. Okay, so for the audience, my name is Disciple Pati. My actual name is Sapati, which means Sabbath, as in it's Samoan for holy, like the Holy Sabbath. So being a holy bitch has been in my blood or whatever, literally. So basically, music has always been a big part of my life. As a Pacific person, I pretty much grew up like being shoved into the limelight. At church, I was part of praise and worship. And then literally at every single family event, it was like, okay, we don't have a present, but Pati can sing. So here. So that's me. That was literally me. Which is fine, but like it's a form of love. It's a way of expressing, your affection in those situations. Which I loved about our family. And then my family as well, my dad has 5 brothers. All of them play like 4 instruments each. So I come from very, very musical family. Every single family gathering on my dad's side was like, whip out the guitar and then play like, all the old school jams and stuff. And sometimes it's just like, don't you guys just want to eat? You guys ever just want to like, I don't know.
You became a musician because you were sick of music.
Because I was sick of music. So, yeah. And then basically, I had a vocal teacher. Her name's Lisa Corbin. Amazing, amazing vocal teacher. I was actually her first student that she'd ever properly like registered. And so she basically trained me to be like her backing vocalist, her cheaper backing vocalist at the age of like 16. So we went around doing corporate
that's
gigs.
Smart.
Yeah, she was she's a business savvy woman. Yeah, she had me doing gigs for her, and then I moved to the school called King's College, and they have a really, really intense rock / blues band program. Wow. So basically then from then on, I couldn't hold down a job. Like I did not know I knew how to apply and stuff, but I just did not have the skills to actually have a job. And so I pretty much got money and learned how to get experiences through this band at King's, which we basically did corporate gigs. And then the bassist of that band, his name is Jacob. He is now known as Leaping Tiger. So him and I were basically in this band together for like ages. And then he had produced a song, was asking me like, hey, do you want to like hop on the song and like maybe write something and da-da-da. And then that's how No Heart was born. And
Banger.
then, thank you. And then after that, I was like, shit, maybe like I'm onto something with this music shit, like writing. And then the rest is history. And so that's how I got here. Also, I used to be a religious freak in year 10/11, which is where the name Disciple Pati comes from. No longer a religious freak, but just thought the name was cool. So hence,
It is cool.
I just said, thank you. My sister thinks I'm a freak.
I don't know. I feel like it has powerful implications. Disciple.
Thank you.
Pati,
Yeah. Essentially, disciple means follower, and I feel like that's what we all are to some degree. So.
Yeah, like is Father John Misty actually an ordained father?
I don't. Well,
I think he's just a dad.
First of all, who is Father John Misty?
He's a guy.
He's a really horny, sad white guy.
Horny, sad white guy.
Yeah.
You could have just said white guy. It's fine.
I guess. Yeah, the two.
That's most of us.
That's me sometimes too.
A horny, sad white guy.
Sometimes we're all a horny, sad white guy.
Sometimes we're all a horny, sad white guy.
That's gonna be the. That's gonna be the pull quote for the podcast for this episode.
I love it. I
Like
love
in
it.
interviews, there's the bit that's like in bold that they've selected. Yeah, that can be.
Horny, sad white guy. Oh,
Disciple
sometimes
Pati.
we're
The horny, sad white guy. Disciple Pati 2020.
That's amazing. Honestly, period.
I
That's how it
was
is.
I was gonna ask how the history of you collaborating with Leaping Tiger came about, but you kind of already covered that.
Yeah. So people don't know it, but me and Jacob. Myself and Leaping Tiger and I, we've known each other for a really, really long time. Like, I've been on tour with that guy to Thailand. I went on tour with him to fucking, like, we know each other quite well when we were, younger. So, yeah, it's...
Because touring is basically flatting, but way more intense and for a shorter period of time.
Literally, and it's like, oh my God. So I was the only girl in this band. So it was the most... interesting experience.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Had, to say the least. Yeah, it was so much fun. Amazing. But the boys were really good, and Jacob was really cool. Like, they were all really, really creative, and I think that's the coolest thing about being in that band was that they were just really, really like. I was honestly amazed at the level of quality that Kings brings out in musicians. I know that's a given because of the resources that they have and stuff, but like it's actually nuts how close to genius a lot of them are. It's really, really depressing actually. But yeah, that's how I know Jacob.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I hadn't actually heard No Heart until after I heard Screwface with Leaping Tiger and Church and AP.
Yeah.
How did that one come about? How did he get in contact with Church and AP?
Good question. I don't know for certain, but I know that they had been like following each other on Instagram for a while. I also know that because Church, Keegan, like Church and AP, they came through CTOA. So Crescendo Trust, I think, is going to start to become more of like a mini King's College. There's going to be all of these amazing musicians that'll start to come out from CTOA. And then because I was talking to, what's her name?
We need to do a collab with everyone. We need to do it like a collab with literally everyone who went to CTOA. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, imagine. People will look back at it and be
symphonic.
like, what?
37 featured artists.
37 featured artists.
It takes the length of the song just for it to scroll past.
Yeah. I love it though. I love it. Dave is such an amazing guy though for facilitating that.
Gonna say we need to have like one part of our all of us collabing where Dave just does like a rap.
In his fedora on his scooter.
I also feel like you should do a collab with Church and AP given the religious influence of the names. Yeah. How has that happened?
Thinking about that too. I was like, damn. Because I wonder why he chose Church.
I asked him and he said, because I asked, he wasn't going to tell me.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay.
Well, fuck you. But...
I feel like Isaac told me once, but I cannot recall what.
The reason why. Yeah. What is that guy up to now?
Isaac?
He's making beats. He goes by Shallows.
Oh, Shallows, AKL. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Just a quick plug for his Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow Shallows, AKL.
Shallows, AKL.
He's still making plenty of sick beats. He's helped me with quite a few of my beats on my album as well that I'm working on.
I love it. I love it. Oh, wow.
Plug on at Velveteen Shakes .instagram.com.
If those that are tuning in to the Velveteen Shakes podcast with Velveteen Shakes aren't already following Velveteen Shakes on Instagram, now's the time.
Now would be the time, guys. Please. Would be great. Yeah, but Screwface was cool. Screwface was like, literally Jacob was like, hey, I have this Church and AP song that I'm working on, but I want you to sing on it, but I don't want you to sing anything. And then I was like, wait, what? And then he was like, okay, see you at the studio. I was like, wait. Get to the studio. He's like, okay, just sing like this, and then we did the ahs and da-da-da. And then he was like, it got to the part with the ad-libs, and he was like, And I was like,
All right, ad-lib.
yeah. And I was like, okay, well, what do you want? And then he was like, just like, do whatever you do. I was like,
Super helpful,
fine.
bro.
Yeah. No, I'm exaggerating, but he was cool. He was cool to work with. And then he was like, yo, I can't wait for this one. And then
I feel like it all worked out.
Yeah. So, yeah. Turned out to be a huge hit.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Self-professed huge hit.
Self-professed huge hit.
It is.
That's
pretty big hit.
Yeah, but that's more due to that's more owing to church than I think it is my background vocals.
I don't know. I think the BVs make it.
Thank you, Keegan. Thank you.
The atmosphere wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, thank you.
I do love that bass
I'm
line
an
though.
atmosphere gal. Oh my god, have you seen him live?
I have not.
Holy shit, man! Jacob live is like another thing. It's also crack up because when you go to his gigs and stuff, some of his stuff that he plays from I think it's Porcelain Orca Whales is the name of his last album.
Yeah,
like it's crack up. That's to like name. See how I know doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue, Jacob, but I'll give it to you. He like plays his beats and the timing of the song is like a little bit off. Not off, but like, it's a strange timing. And so I'm like, I love like sitting back and just like watching people try to like nod their heads because they're like,
to it,
they're like, it's so funny. And then I'm like, yo, you should just watch Jacob, watch his head, nod with his head.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
that's always the best
leader
indicator,
in this,
right?
Yeah, in this situation. But
like,
yeah,
I'm
really
showing
good.
you where the beat is.
I always love when you're watching someone live and the artist gets like mad at the crowd for clapping on the wrong beat or like, just like, what are you guys doing?
Oh my god, that's hilarious. That's gonna be me.
Yeah, I went to the no, it was me and you, Cameron. We went to Snarky Puppy, and they had half the room clapping.
Yeah.
Like
it was
the
polyrhythms. Past the goddamn butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa!
And it was like quite a mission to get everyone coordinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
we tried this last night and it worked. We're gonna try it tonight, and if it doesn't work, we're never doing it again.
Oh my god. I need to look up these guys. They sound hilarious.
They're like
it was a pretty good time.
They're like hip hop influenced and gospel influenced jazz fusion kind of like really like 12-piece band. And sometimes
whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're
cool. So like
pretty good.
Day Tower of Power. Oh well, Tower of Power is really funk, but
they got some funk.
You know what I mean?
They got some funk.
Okay.
They got a bit of everything really.
Ooh, Snarky Puppy.
Follow Snarky Puppy at Snarky Puppy.
Yeah, they really need the plug. Yeah.
Give them a plug.
they need the plug from the Velveteen Shakes podcast here in New Zealand.
I'm dead.
Well, I think we should discuss the elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah,
my cat?
Which is your cat. You recently got nominated for the Pacific Music Awards.
Yes, I did. Thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, it's crazy, eh? Actually, fucking
it is pretty crazy. I didn't think you were going to get nominated for any awards. That's wild.
No, but it is. Like you work so hard on this like project.
Yeah.
And then it happens, and then you kind of like, I don't want to say forget it exists, but then it's like, like, what the fuck do I do now? And then, it's like, oh shit, like this happened.
I have to follow this up now.
Yeah, and then, but also I reckon it was even more humbling because I spent a great deal of time growing up really, really worried about like where I belong and being accepted, especially by my own like culture and my own people. And so to have a music awards that's Pacific, acknowledge it. Even though, I've moved past that, like the need for acceptance from that particular group of people, it does feel quite nice, to do something in your eyes for the culture and for the community, and then to have it acknowledged by the people of that community just made it feel like, it made me feel real good. Like it just, yeah. Made me feel real happy. Yeah, if that makes sense.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I was just about to ask, what does it mean to you? But you keep answering my questions before
I'm
I
sorry.
ask them. No,
Let
it's
me shut the
fine.
fuck up real quick.
It's just good for this to be more conversational than interviewee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you mean in that it's even if you've moved past that, it's still cool to get that validation.
Yeah, exactly. Especially considering like I don't know. I just think for my younger self, this was quite nice to have, like, in terms of what it means to me. It's just, that's exactly what it means to me. It means it's the validation that my younger self needed, that I feel humbled to have received, because I know that a lot of people go their whole lives without ever receiving this validation, without ever receiving this kind of closure. And so it's kind of nice that you know, I get to close that chapter of my life with this, if that makes sense. So yeah.
It's like full circle.
Yeah, full circle almost, you know? Like what's that thing that fucking eats the tail?
The
world serpent?
No, wait. No, fuck.
That's what it is. Something serpent?
The world serpent from Norse mythology.
Yes, that's the one.
Keegan's
Jormungandr.
Keegan's referencing Marvel comics, though. Probably not North.
No, I'm referencing mythology.
You know what? That's where I get all my Norse mythology anyway, so...
I was into Norse mythology before I started reading Thor comics. Thank you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was a huge mythology buff in, like, intermediate school.
All right.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
The cat that keeps walking past my face is named Freya for Norse gods.
Yeah.
Oh, hi Freya.
Velveteen Shakes podcast featuring Disciple Pati and Freya.
And Freya. Oh, look at her. She's so regal too. God damn, a queen.
Just
She is
sitting there.
Look at her.
truly a queen. Hi Peter.
Yeah, that's my dad also.
Oh, he's also looking regal.
I'll tell him.
He has a mighty regal mustache. That man.
Oh,
does,
wow.
yes.
Love it. Love it.
Love it.
As do you, sir, actually.
Me.
Mighty regal mustache and beard.
I thought you meant me for a second. I was like, what?
No. I wouldn't say it's mighty regal. It's a work in progress.
Love it.
But, you
Love
know,
it.
just
Mine too.
just doing white man isolation things, growing a beard, starting a
Jeez.
podcast,
I love it. You know what?
that sort of
do
thing.
what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got nominated for the Boy Who Cried Woman, correct?
Boy Who Cried
Okay.
Woman, yeah.
Good to know that I got that right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was obviously such a cool piece of work that my mum saw it when I think Crescendo shared it, and she like came to me and she was like, "Yo, do you know this chick? Have you seen this? This is awesome." That was not how my mum said it because she doesn't talk like that, but that was, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about The Boy Who Cried Woman. I want to talk about the lyrics for that and the sort of message behind it. And of course, it's also got a very cool video.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I was watching the video last night. That was really cool.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah. Fun fact, I'll tell you guys. I won't tell anyone else because it's really embarrassing. Well, not embarrassing.
This is going live, like.
Oh. Oh well. You know what? Sorry, I keep forgetting that. But
Cameron, you're supposed to say that after she reveals.
Oh shit! Oh, sorry. Oh no.
No,
Gotta get demoted real quick.
Yeah.
I'll just fucking leave. Yeah.
I'm dead. No, so I actually wanted to put that audio from Heather Duplessis Allen's rant that she went on about leeches, and I wanted to put that in the beginning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I was like, we had
Kendrick
to get
style.
Yeah, Kendrick style. But we couldn't do it because we had to get permission from them. And so I was like, okay, I'll be a good bitch and email them and ask them about it. And then the
How did that
back-
email go? Can I just have a detour? How did that email go? Like, hey, so I want to sample that hideous rant you did about my people for a song.
Oh man.
It's definitely gonna be casting you in a bad light. How do you feel about that?
I know, that's exact. Like literally, I was like, hey, so I have a music video and it's about Pacific people. Da 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 da. Like, you know, would you be keen to like lend the audio for it? And they were like, yeah, cool. Like, which audio? And I was like, Heather Duplessis Allen's rant about us being leeches. Then there was like a good week, and it was like nothing. It was like nothing from them. And then I get an email back, and it's like, we regret to inform you that we cannot lend you this audio on copyright issues. We feel that Heather has apologized for her behavior, and so therefore we can't let you use it. And I was like, swiping.
I hope there's like an email chain of them, like a back and forth between them. Like, hey, can we use? I don't want you to, but I mean, we already said that she could, like.
Sorry, bro.
Imagine if the email chain was like them trying to save face, like, hey, this is gonna look real bad, and she's just like, nah, use it. She's like, I said it. She can use it.
I stand by what I said. No, yeah.
Do whatever she can say, whatever she wants to say. I'd be like, well, fucking good guts on you, sis. Good bunch of guts you got there. No, but yeah, so I was like, oh man, damn it. So I had to take it out. But yeah, so that was literally, but then I think maybe it was like God's plan, because I was like watching Bunga, and then they dropped the leeches reference, and I was like, shit, maybe that's like kind of becoming cliche to use it now. So I was like, okay, maybe it was a good thing. But anyway, and so then what happened was, sorry. You want me to talk about the lyrics, correct?
Just talk about the song, whatever's in your heart at this moment.
Okay.
All of it.
Okay, thank you. If I talk, honestly, I talk a lot. So if you guys like want me to shut up,
you are the
just
guest.
let me know.
You're doing great.
Okay. So the song, I wrote the song "The Boy Who Cried Woman" at the time. I was studying. I was doing a Bachelor of Arts screen production, and I was in my third year. I was in my third year, and I was struggling. I'm struggling a lot, and
at least you made it past year one, which I did not.
Fair enough. You know what?
At least you made it past year two, which I did not.
I don't blame you two. Honestly, like, it was such a fucking nightmare, and I feel like it was all for nothing, because the job that I have now, I could not easily, but there's a good chance I could have got it without this degree. And so I was sitting there like, you know what? At least I got a piece of paper, expensive one, but it's fine. And at the time, in my third year, I was we had an assignment which was basically you had to write a TV series, and so my pitch for the TV series was that this warrior goddess, the Samoan warrior goddess, her name is Nafanua, that she had died back in her time, and then came to life in the body of like a young Pacific woman. And it was all about like what she would feel, what she would see, and the atmosphere basically what she would see and feel and think at the time when she woke up and saw the position that Pacific people held in post-colonial society. And the reason why she's important as a goddess of all of the mythological figures in Pacific history is because she is possibly one of the most powerful ones. Her story is basically, in a nutshell, she's part of a family. One of her brothers goes and trespasses onto a village property that's not her own. And he gets captured and held by the chief of the village. The chief of the village then is like, you need to come and collect your brother, da-da-da-da, otherwise we're going to take da-da-da-da, we're going to go to war. So Nafanua... I
hope that's the actual dialogue.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. And so the chief and the two chiefs of the opposing villages, they're like in chats or whatever. Meanwhile, Nafanua's like, fuck all y'all, taking way too long, I'm going to go get him myself. Sneaks into the village, cuts him loose, and then grabs him, takes him home, which, stupid bitch, ends up creating like a war between the two opposing villages. Anyway, and then so she goes to fight the men as well. They don't realize that she's a man. She's in the war. So they're fighting each other. Then a huge gust of wind blows. And back in the days, they had like a armor which was thin. It was like had a like cloth, and it blew up the cloth and revealed her tits. And then everybody was like, "Holy shit, we've been fighting a woman!" And they were so embarrassed and humiliated and ashamed that they dropped their what do you call it? They dropped their weapons straight away, and then just let her win. And she prophesied that that there would be a new rule of the Samoa, and there would be a new religion that would come. And she prophesied that the religion would land in a specific space in Samoa, and that's where the missionaries came. So the premise of the story was basically that it would be what she would feel considering she prophesied what had happened, and considering her prophecy was a really big part of the reason why Samoans welcomed Christianity so much into their culture. Like, it was to the point where we pretty much assimilated and it became our own culture. And I would just wonder whether she would have given that prophecy if she had known the consequences of what the prophecy would have had on her people. I don't know. Yeah, but that's where the ideology of The Boy Who Cried Woman came from.
Did you get a good grade? Because that pitch is great.
Thank you. Yeah, we did. We got a pretty good grade. Thank God.
That would be a really cool like animated show, I feel like.
Dude.
That would be so cool.
Dude, you're so right.
Greenlight it.
Let me just put it in my brain, come back to Cam.
All right.
With my treatment.
Dude, do it. Yeah, no.
Thank you. Yeah.
Legitimately, please do. That'll be a great.
I have access to like 30 animation students at my degree. We're all bad now, but maybe one day we won't be bad.
One day.
And they don't sleep.
And they don't sleep. They said sleep is for the weak.
Yes.
Sleep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of backstory. That's awesome.
I don't know what I was expecting you to, but yeah, no, I'm kind of blown away.
Oh, good.
That's
okay,
amazing.
good.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a crackhead.
Yeah.
Sorry?
A bit of a crackhead?
Yeah, I just sit here at home, like, thinking about all of this shit, and, like, it's a bit crippling sometimes, but I'm glad it gets it's literally, like, really bad, but, you know.
It is very fruitful creatively.
Thank you. Yeah.
So did you try to include like references to that ideology in the art design or the cinematography of the music video? Like, was it a...
Yes. Yeah, so that was a conscious decision that we made. The culture. So basically each of the images in the music video are meant to be like little vignettes of what of just the Pacific experience, and like what they how ironic each of those issues that we go through really are. Anyway, and so the mythology, the main part was the styling. That's the only real way we could really bring the mythology into it. And so that first part, the first scene is really a huge nod to the mythology, because she's wearing, well, I'm not she, me, I am wearing the Nifoti. So Nifoti literally means teeth of death, which is what you wear. It's what the taupo wears on her, what do you call it? On her neck when she's doing the dances and stuff. And that was, I don't know, there's a lot of weaponry that we now wear as like cultural accessories, which I think is really interesting, because it just shows how much of that war culture really is ingrained into Samoan culture. But anyway, besides the point, I digress. And then the men standing there with their songa imiti, which is the tattoo, that was a nod back to the mythology. But then the rest of it was kind of, and of course the tuinga. The tuinga is a nod to mythology, not Nafanua's mythology, but more so, there's a huge story behind the tuinga, which I won't go into now, but...
next podcast.
Pardon?
We'll save it for next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a huge... it's the headpiece, basically, which I'm wearing and that the other girls in the back are wearing. That's that's a big part of Samoan culture, because it talks on royalty. That's what it essentially alludes to. But yeah, and then the rest is all just talking about the ironies of the Pacific experience and like how strangely weird this entire like world is in the eyes of a Pacific person. Yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why it's really effective.
Yeah, yeah. I think also it speaks to, interestingly enough, a lot of attitudes that people have been having for a while, because I noticed that the racism discourse has been circulating around Pacific people for a while, and people are getting kind of sick of it, and they also think that it doesn't exist. And so this video was kind of meant to more capture the subtleties of racist ideologies and how they're not in your face. Like, I think all of us tend to watch media and consume media. Like, have you guys seen that show, that American show, What Would You Do?
What would you do? No.
Oh, so there's this show, it's called What Would You Do? It's like a TV show in America. It's basically, they set up these situations where people...
Oh, yes, I have seen that, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, what would you do in this situation? And it's like, I don't think those situations would actually happen. Like, there's a very small group of people who would act that way in Auckland anyway.
Yeah, and they're very engineered.
They're very engineered, you know? And so it's like, okay, well, if that's not what racism and discrimination looks like in real life, then what does it look like, you know? And so this music video was kind of more trying to speak to how the racism is not inherent. It's more subtle. It's in the way that people act and the way that people think and what their actions mean.
Like microaggressions
microaggressions, you know, and those microaggressions are actually just as harmful and just as detrimental to a person's identity of self and a person's well-being as like full-blown racism. The thing about
it's just easier for people to dance around
exactly
them,
exactly,
you know, sort of avoid acknowledging them because they think, well, it's not as bad as the full-blown shit that we're seeing in America, so
exactly,
it can't be happening.
It's like, okay, so somebody has to get shot for you to recognize that. Yeah.
There's so much of that, like, people talking about, like, well, it's not as bad as this bad thing.
Yeah.
But therefore it's not bad, despite it being, I don't know.
Yeah,
bad,
it shouldn't be,
I punched someone in the face, but I didn't kill them, so, like, you know.
Exactly, so it's like, you know, and it's like, honestly, well, I mean, you punched that person in the face, they're going to live with that trauma, first of all. You could have broken their nose. Their nose might be distorted now. They might have to live like that forever. And that's, you know, a really true analogy to the way in which these microaggressions affect Pacific lives and affect people of color and people, you know, from the queer community, how this affects their lives in every way, shape, and form. So, yeah, that's kind of what the ethos of it's meant to say, like, things are much more complex than they seem.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
For sure.
Oh, actually, one thing I was going to say is, after you talking about, like, the ideas behind the ideology of the music video, realizing the Christian references, like the Last Supper, like when you're in the...
Yeah! Oh, I'm glad you liked that one. That's good.
That was a cool shot, especially with because of how dark like the scene is, like the light up menu in the background. Yeah, it's like it's such well framed. Yeah.
The video just looks really fucking cool.
Who did you work with, like making it? What was
so the director that I worked with, his name is Shay Sterling. So this idea was so precious to me, this music video concept. And because of that, I was really, really worried that whoever I gave it to, I would have to hand over full creative control to the director to take my idea and then put it into, and I was like, I'm not doing it.
You wanted it to be realized properly.
Yeah, I wanted it to be realized and executed the way I saw it in my mind. And then I realized that you know, collaboration really is the third stage of rewriting a story. And so I decided, you know, I have to at least hand over some control over to the process, because it might end up being better than what I ever envisioned, and it did. But Shay Sterling did such an amazing job, I think, and Destiny, who is the producer of the music video. They both did such an amazing job of helping me handle my own worries about the fact that my video idea, the concept, was in safe hands. And they really gave me the space to co-direct as opposed to just being the person in the music video. So I co-directed it with Shay. And Shay also did not, he wasn't even worried at all about allowing me to speak my mind and allowing me to tell him that I didn't like certain things or that I wanted it to be framed in this way. Shay is a really, really renowned director, music video director, which was one of the main reasons why I was really scared and a little bit intimidated to come to him with this. So I made sure I had my A into G before I approached him. The first meeting that we had, I sent him a fucking like 25-page treatment, and he was like, what the fuck is this? No, I'm kidding. He wasn't like that, but he was like, he was like, wow, this is like really, really detailed. Yeah, like, are you all good? And then I saw him we had a meeting with him, and then I sat down and like properly told him the ethos of the music video, the ideology of the music video. And then he just took all of that on board, and it was like, honestly, it just like clicked. We all just clicked together. The shoot was amazing. I don't know. It was like out of a movie or something. I was like,
another one
really
of those full
does.
circle things, maybe. Everything falling into place.
Yeah, it just fell into place. And I was
World
like,
serpent.
damn. Yeah, I was like, fucking hell, like, did not expect that to happen. I was really bracing for my video to come out and it be nothing like I had imagined, and it going to absolute shit, just because, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And then the best happened. I was like, well, fuck me.
Damn.
Yeah. Shit, maybe good things do exist in this reality, at least,
Like,
Yeah.
In
the
this darkest
simulation's
timeline.
glitching in a
Yeah,
in
in
a
this
good way.
timeline. In this timeline, Pati's on top, at least for now, a little bit. But yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, though. Those Christian references are important because, again, they're a big part of Pacific culture, and I think they're one of the most crippling parts of Pacific culture to deal with, because they stop people from thinking critically about their situation and the world that they live in, which is the most upsetting thing to me.
It's also kind of like introspective of how you used to associate with. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about like queer culture as well. Like one of the things that people talked about a lot about recently is like colonization and like Christian ideologies, like essentially turning cultures into being homophobic or transphobic when they really weren't before those came in. Yeah, exactly.
Samoan people had 3 genders. Well, I don't think it's necessarily that we had 3 genders. We just recognized that there were lots of different groups of people that are non-binary, and one of the main groups of people that was oh, hello!
Came and knocked on my doors.
My gosh, hi! You are the cutest thing in the entire world. Look at you! Oh my god, she's adorable.
Hello.
Hi. Oh,
Okay,
she's so shy.
bye.
Okay, I'm sorry. I won't press. I won't press you too hard, gal.
Can you go see Grandma?
Oh.
I'm doing a podcast.
Oh my god.
Good girl. I'll come see you in a bit, okay?
My heart just melted. I
She's pretty
hate
cool.
children,
Oh,
but I love the way they look, though. Like, they're so adorable and cute and cuddly, and then they open their mouths and you're like, fuck you. But no, yeah, because Samoan people had, so there was the main gender, though, that was recognized in Samoan culture is whawhawhinge. And so, and that was, interestingly enough, that was born out of Samoans not having girls to stay home and look after at the house, I think. And yeah, so that was where that was born from, apparently. And so there were boys that would just dress up as girls and just do things that, not saying that, you know, staying at home is inherently a thing that a woman should do, but they did other things that, you know, in their time and their cultural ideology, that they think that they
sort of filled that role.
And so, and it wasn't a big deal. We also weren't monogamous. We were polyamorous people. And then, of course, you know, but that type of...
Polyamorous Polynesians.
Is that your album name?
Oh my God. You might have just done it, Kate. You might have just...
He's only gone and bloody done it.
You've only gone and bloody done it, haven't you? But yeah, you know, so colonization really did a huge disservice to Pacific people, especially in terms of Christianity, because you know, out of war, best way to subdue the enemy is without fighting. And that's exactly what they did. They subdued us by pushing forward these ideologies that were so much more harmful than the wars that they enacted on us, because of how prevalent those ideologies still are in today's Pacific communities. Like the amount of kids, Pacific kids, that don't feel safe, that commit suicide, that like go through all of these like there's such a huge number of Pacific kids that just go through all of these mental health problems, which can be stemmed back to the problems that colonization put in place when they came to the islands and put Christianity as the main ruler. So yeah, that's where the Christian part of it comes from. And even though it is a great source of community in the Pacific community, it's interesting how often queer people in the Pacific community come to those hubs of sharing, and they just feel so alone, you know?
And it's really, like they come to a place of community and get sort of turned away.
And get turned away, they get excluded just for being who they are, for being, you know, which I think is...
It's a really interesting paradox.
It is. It's so ironic, and it's quite honestly, it's very tragic, because it's already hard enough to be just a normal, I mean, not saying that, you know, it's already hard enough to be a young person operating in today's society, what with the patriarchy, and then on top of that, to have your safe space, your family be compromised is another layer. It's another layer of it's unfair. And then people wonder why Pacific kids in particular act out and are rebellious. And it's like, well, you've given them no safe space. They have no agency over their over their environment. And of course, if we think about empowerment and the locus of control is being internal, that's where you gain empowerment from as a young person. Of course, they're going to act out. It's the only way that they can see.
And then people use that as like a way to perpetuate the idea that it's sort of like they're sort of inherently like that.
Bad,
Whereas it's a direct result of that influence.
Exactly. And it's also, I mean, I try my best to have empathy for both sides, because I do know that a lot of the time, the people who are in power that tend to recreate these ideologies in their own words and their works, and like Israel Folau, you know, I try and have empathy for them, because I need to remember that they have not been exposed to situations where they would understand people that are outside of their bubble. And I just think, my first reaction is, you're stupid. You know, you're just stupid, because you have, especially somebody like Israel Folau, you have a responsibility to be surrounding yourself with people who constantly and consistently challenge your beliefs. But then I just remember, like, there are a lot of people who challenging their beliefs and challenging their norms is actually dangerous for them. So of course they're going to do everything that they can to uphold it instead of do the opposite. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just hard with him just because of the platform that he holds as well.
Exactly, that
Like,
he has.
Like he has influence over what other people think purely because of
Yeah.
being in such a public like spotlight.
Exactly, yeah. And so I was really glad that KJ spoke out against it, because he's also somebody that people will so quickly claim as being Samoan. And there needed to be somebody else who had a bigger platform come out and say, y'all know this man's crazy, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I was really grateful for that happening.
Sorry,
Also-
for the audience, could we just get a quick clarification on who KJ is?
So KJ Apa is the star of Riverdale. He's also a Samoan. He's also a Samoan man.
What's his relation to you?
Oh shit, yeah. So KJ Apa is my first cousin.
Wait,
He
what?
is my- yeah.
Wait, what?
He's my first cousin.
Yo.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know from the last name, Sapati Apa. He's my dad's brother's son. And so yeah, we don't see him much anymore.
So when's that music video coming?
Oh my god. Imagine. Nah, but yeah, we have to get him in the fucking country first. That man is so
True.
difficult to get a hold of. Far
Also,
out.
you know, with the borders being closed because
I
we're
know!
in
Yeah.
actual lockdown.
Yeah.
I
Do
think
a,
he gets
do,
up
do
to
a
the
Zoom
pass
a
with it at
Zoom
the
meeting music video. That could
A
work.
Zoom meeting music video.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, especially because his sister. So I'm closer with his sisters. And Timena, who is the second oldest in the family, she's gay, and so of course he's going to be speaking out about these things. Yeah, I after all of that happened, and then somebody else had sent me a little blog that they had written, like just for themselves, on their thoughts about Israel Folau. I just really started to wonder whether Christianity did any good at all, as opposed to the harm that it's done. And like, I try really, really hard to. I just fucking hate organized religion, but there was a point in time, a period of time where I thought perhaps, Christianity is also doing good for the Pacific community at the same time as doing harm. And after reading this little blog post and then seeing what KJ said and all this other stuff, I just don't think there is any,
Any good it will be doing, would be just like, I don't know, creating a community, or like, I don't know, having an individual sense of like spirituality or moral stuff. But that you don't need Christianity for that.
To do that.
You can
exactly.
find that in everywhere,
Anywhere.
in anything, yeah.
Yeah. And it also just heavily, like the bad just heavily outweighs the good, you know? The amount of Pacific musos that I saw coming out with that, I stand with Folau, was just, I was appalled, gobsmacked. Like,
That was an uncomfortable time, yeah.
it was such
On
an
my
uncomfortable
Facebook feed.
time. Yeah, I was so upset about it, and it's just like, wow, like, so you really want to dehumanize this whole group of people. Yeah, I was like, at that point in time, I was like, yo, white Jesus can go somewhere else, man.
Jesus.
There's no room for him, like
Jesus the person,
yeah.
not only like brown but Jewish.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, like
That's not even
my
a
mom-
controversial take. That's just
no, it's just
geographically
the truth.
accurate.
The other thing that my mum, my mum is such a G. So we grew up in I also grew up in Wellington, and she was like a Sunday school teacher. Tell me why this bitch did a whole PowerPoint presentation on how Jesus is not white and how he's actually, I think she said she's like he probably looks more like a Middle Eastern Arab man than anything else, in front of the whole church. And she put up she found this Google Images scientific like rendering of what he possibly could have looked like. Big nose, wiry hair, black skin, beard, fully blowing, like scruffy ass beard. Just that face and I just heard everyone go.
I'm saying, if we can't get Donald Glover for Spider-Man, we may as well get him to play Jesus.
Exactly, you know, exactly. So I was like, damn, you know, there's not a lot of critical thinking that's going on in this particular community, is what I'm trying to say, you know? Not a lot of it.
Jesus came from Bethlehem, but he looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah,
Where is the
registers.
logic?
Someone actually printed out like a photo of Ewan McGregor
Of
as
Ewan
Obi-Wan Kenobi
McGregor.
and framed it, gave it to their mom. Like, yeah, I got you a little photo of Jesus. Like she has it on her wall. It might be fake, but I saw that online and I didn't even want to check if it was
Pretty
true
good.
because it's so good.
It's from Attack of the Clones when he's got that perfect, like,
Yeah.
semi-mullet.
Oh my god. First
Brilliant.
of all, Ewan McGregor.
Oh, you can
But
get it.
fucking love Ewan.
That's
But
fucking Obi-Wan
oh my
Kenobi.
god. Yeah. I'm not even surprised that you could probably do that to a lot of Samoan women. But you know, yeah, it's interesting the way these things pan out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so backpedaling from religion a little bit.
Sorry.
I wanted to talk about. I had some questions brought up from the live stream you did on your Instagram last
Oh yeah,
night.
go ahead.
Because, you know, always a good time when Pati goes live.
Oh yeah.
The first thing I wanted to ask, and it's kind of a funny one, is
Yeah.
that dude that you had to remove from
Oh my god.
So on Pati's live, there was this dude that kept commenting stuff like,
I
"How
love
are
you?
you?
I miss
How are you,
How
my
are
dear? I
baby?"
miss you. You look so beautiful. You look so pretty." Or like just spamming, and I
Literally.
assumed that it was one of your mates
No.
playing the role of a obsessed fan to wind
Yeah.
you up.
Yeah.
And then you acknowledged it. You were like, "Sir, I don't know you." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh, no.
God."
I didn't. I had no clue who this man was. Sorry
The
to this
thing
man.
The thing I wanted to ask was, does that happen often, like as a woman in your position?
I think, do you know what's weird? Like, I was getting these fucking messages when I was literally nobody. Like, I'm not good, you know, okay, so it's just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about these people. Because it's not even just men. Like, there were quite a few women who have come in my DMs very entitled, which I think is very crazy. Not hitting on me, but like, hey, can I get can I get an autograph of KJ, please? Like, you know, I'm like, bitch, I don't fucking know you. Like, you know, I just find it very interesting that people are so,
Like, what did they think? How did they think that conversation would go with you just like, DMing your cousin like, hey, can I have some
Literally.
signed photographs of you to send to people that I don't know who messaged me? What?
Literally. It's just weird. And so, like, I think that those people, and then the random men that DM me that think that we're in a relationship together, like, these people genuinely think, genuinely thinks I'm his girlfriend. And there's also the ones, okay, I've told quite a few people the story actually, but never on an interview.
We can cut things if you want. Like, I am going to edit this later.
You can put this in.
Okay, so
you can put this in if you want. It's a crack-up story, but I'm actually, when I was younger, I was actually very prone to getting stalked and getting,
yeah, that sounds like the start of a funny story.
Yeah. So,
it's crack-up, so I'm getting stalked, yeah.
So I literally, and like, when I say stalked, people are like, oh, like,
is that reality as a woman? Like, so here's a funny story. I was very prone to getting stalked.
Yeah, it is like, I think it is. And I think it's interesting. It's interesting, right? Because you have to toe a line. There's a line you have to toe. If you're in the club and somebody is coming up to you, you don't want to associate that with them. You don't want to be them to be in your space. You just came here to have a good night with the girls. You're not even looking for male attention. You have to be really strategic about the way that you go about the situation, because there's always the chance that this person might take the rejection really, really badly, and that could end up in violence. And in the past, I used to just be like, fuck off, like, don't fucking talk to me. I don't want to fucking talk to you. Get lost. And then we almost got into a fight, and I was like, shit, this is not working. You know? And so now, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've literally talked right through our time. But
it's all Gucci.
Okay.
But so what I had, for example, these people, I have to be really polite in the way in which I shut them down. Anyway, so the stalking story, if you want to hear it. Do you guys want to hear it?
Yes.
I would love
Okay.
to hear the hilarious stalking story.
Provided it's
Okay,
9
so-
minutes and 35 seconds long, because
Okay,
that's all we've
I'll
got in
make
the
it
meantime.
way less. So the story is basically I went to and when I was in high school at King's, I went to Tonga for a community service trip, and we met this old Tongan man who was like in his 50s or something. While we were there, he asked me for my Facebook. I said yes because he's an old man that I didn't really. I mean, I was 17 at the time. I didn't really give a fuck. And what happened was that we went back home, and he basically had been messaging me, and I was polite, messaged back. And he also apparently knew like one mutual friend we had a mutual family friend. After that, this man basically starts bombarding me with messages, asking me like, what's your number? Da, da, da. I just ignored them because I was like, oh, he's like a sad old man. Like, just leave him alone. Like, it's not a big deal. I was prefect, so I had to organize this talent show for the school. And I was promoting the talent show to get ticket sales on my Facebook. I put up the address of where the thingy was going to be. And I was like, if you can make it, come through, be awesome.
Oh no.
First of all, I did not think that this man was going to show up. He lives in fucking Tonga.
Oh my
He
god.
lives in Tonga. There was no way that even if he was a stalker, that he was going to manage. Tell me why. I come out into the auditorium. I look back. I see the outline of the afro and the build that I know all too well from that fucking DP on his Facebook page. It was such a big deal. Like, oh my God, it was crazy. My parents came, but they sat behind him, so I couldn't go and speak to them. The rest of my family came. None of them, I could talk to anyone, like to let anyone know what was going on. One of the other prefects came over, and I was like, yo, I'm being fucking stalked. And they were like, haha, shut the fuck up. I was like, no, this man from Tonga. Yeah, and then my dad went and diffused the situation, brought him over, and was like, they didn't press charges, but he's literally like, his name is in a blacklist at the school. Like, he's not allowed to enter into the school grounds and stuff. I had to block him off social media, let the school know, let the fucking police know. It was such a big fucking deal. And that was the second time that something like that had happened to me. So yeah, you know.
How many times is it at now?
It's only at a solid 2. Yeah, 2.
Oh, okay.
So it's not too bad. I think after
The way you said that made me think that now it was at like 30. And I was like, oh,
no,
Jesus
no.
Christ.
At the time,
thank God,
that
you
was
know.
that was only my second stalking.
Yeah. So you know, but it really highlighted to me how you can't be polite with people. Like people like that, you know. There's a fine line between just being polite and also just holding your ground and just being like, there's a boundary here and you can't cross it. And I find that it's very difficult for me to uphold that boundary, especially with people on Instagram.
Well, yeah, it's kind of shitty that you have to like you're saying how when you go to the clubs, you have to be constantly have in the back of your mind, be thinking strategically about how you
Manage situations.
deal with those situations when you just want to have a fun time. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't have to think about that when I go to the club. I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that.
I mean,
But,
it's
yeah,
not.
I mean,
Yeah, it's not.
we're
like
not
all the
uncovering
time.
new ground here. We done but know that that's fucked up. But
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I'm lucky because I know a lot of people in those situations. So even if it were to go badly, I could rely on the fact that those people would be there as a safety net and a safety as safety, but also just for the fact that it would just cause too much trouble. You know, like nobody wants to get into a fight on a night out. Nobody wants to be. So it's just better for everyone if we, you know. And then also there's like the groping and stuff that is so bad.
yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but yeah. Because I mean, what do you guys have to? Because I always think maybe guys, the opposite is just like you have to be wary of not rubbing people the wrong way.
For me, in a club, it's the problem still guys.
Yeah.
I've only gone clubbing like twice, and the second time I saw a dead body. There was a guy dead on the side of the road. The first time, I was saying goodbye to my friend in a line and was just like bye, and then we like did like that and saying goodbye, and then the guy next to her on the line was like, oh, what about me? And then I went to go like link fingers with him because it's very not a big deal, and then he was like, oh no, that's fucking gay, and I was like, don't worry man, it's not gay, I'll suck your dick too. And I walked away, and he was like yelling at me as I walked away, and then I went to go into the bar where my friends were because it was their birthday. I was like 18, I'd never been in town, and my phone, I dropped it on the toilet, so my phone was dead.
Oh my god,
I tried to get into the bar, and then I looked like a guy who'd been kicked out because I was wearing a hat, which apparently you're not meant to do anyway. And the guy was like, leave. And I was like, okay. So then I went back to that club because I knew those friends were there because I just said bye to them. I walked in and the guy was like, you're that fucking faggot. And he tried to fight me. And then I saw the bouncer was coming towards him. And then the bouncer grabbed him, threw him outside. And I took my hat off and then bought a drink and was like, I've been here forever. Then I realized I hate clubs. I left and he was waiting on a car and wanted to fight me. And then I was like, and I walked away and sat down at a burger place. And he came up and was like, you ruined my night. You gay, I'm gonna punch you. And I was like, how do I get out of this? How do I diffuse the situation? So I pretended to be crying and was like, look man, I had a really bad night, my friends ditched me. And he was like, whoa. And then he left, and I was like, ha.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I said that story really fast because I was having Vietnam flashbacks.
Oh my god.
Dude,
Jesus H.
So to answer your question, guys suck.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah, I don't really have to worry about how I don't think I have to worry about how I'm talking to women when I go clubbing. I feel like the only time I ever worry about it is if I'm actually like interested in someone and I'm like, okay, but you shouldn't show your interest because that could be perceived as rude or weird.
But see, that's so hard, you know, like, because what if you're attracted to somebody and then you're like, I really want to fuck you, but, you know, I want you to want to fuck me too.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Like, now we're like, you know,
maybe
it's
if people
hard.
are that honest, but also said
direct
the second
about
part,
it,
like instead of just the first part, because I feel like people say the first bit a lot, but they don't bother to like be like, and you
true.
No, yes, cool.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Now I will lean slightly more forward while we're talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you, you know, like, but I think it's hard for both groups because, you know, like, what are you meant to do if you show interest without coming across as creepy and without immediately putting the female on the defense?
Yeah.
And then how is she meant to interact with other men, knowing that there's always that context where something could happen that could go really, really wrong, you know?
Which I think is really the shorter straw of the two, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I don't really hit on girls in clubs because it's too noisy. Can't hear what they're saying.
Exactly. So what are you meant to do? Also, I'm dancing.
Yeah.
Also, Keegan, if you're worried about being perceived as aggressive, having to yell over the music won't help.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Where are you going?
That's hilarious. Yeah.
We're gonna run out of time again. I'm gonna call you back once more because I do have like just like one more thing I want to get through.
Okay.
But then we won't use the full time.
Okay.
If that's cool beans.
I'm so sorry, guys. Please just
tell me.
to
It's great.
shut up.
It's very good for content.
Okay.
And
good.
Cameron has to edit it, not me. So.
I'm so sorry, Cameron.
That's fine. I like editing.
I apologize.
I'm a massive nerd.
I love it.
I love
it. That's me too. I edited The Boy Who Cried Woman.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
What do you use? What program?
Premiere.
Same.
Yeah. Gotta love Premiere. People keep telling me to go to Final Cut though.
Nah.
Premiere Pro is my Vietnam. From the 1 year of communication studies I did. Everyone in screen production had prior experience with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was the only one who didn't. And I felt like I was in a living hell. The other thing I wanted to ask you about that was spurred on by your live stream.
Yeah.
And this is quite a loaded one. Is your philosophies, your recent interest in philosophy.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a little bit of a recap in what you've been exploring in that realm lately?
Yeah. So, I mean, well, actually, my main interest has always been sociology, because when I was in uni, that was one of the main papers that just fucking ruined everything for me. It showed me, like, you know, I was introduced to like Marxism and like capitalism and ideas of like, you know, how everything that we create has some sort of ideology behind it that it pushes forward, and we're not in control of a lot of the media that we consume, and so therefore we need to be wary of the true messages behind what it is that we're consuming. And also it just touched on like power structures and stuff. But I never had really delved into perhaps deeper than that, which is the ideas around free will and the ideas surrounding reality. So my sister recently took, she's doing history at the moment, and she's also doing philosophy. And so I just like heard a few of her lectures in the background of when we were, because we live in the same fucking house, can't escape it. And so I started gaining a little bit of interest in history and, you know, the history of humankind. And then because of my interest in film, I started watching this channel. It's called History Buffs, and they basically unpack the accuracy of history biopics in conjunction with the actual events that properly happened. Yeah, and it's interesting the way that those two areas intersect. But then so my sister and my father and I all started talking a little bit more about philosophy when my sister was unpacking these ideas. So she first started unpacking the idea that Socrates brings forth. So that's the idea that we don't know anything. Everything could be changed. There's always a critical opinion of the powerful opinion. And so like, you can never be certain that, you know, anything is going to happen. And then this bitch introduces me to Descartes. This man, Descartes, fucking turned everything on its head. So Descartes' main thing is like, the only thing that he was the one who, I mean, you guys probably already know, but for the audience, if you guys don't know, he came up with the saying, "I think, therefore I am," which is the only truth that we really have in this life. It's that, how do I know that I exist if I can't even trust my senses? I can't even trust my fingers to be touching the actual, how do I know that this computer is real if I can't trust my senses to be telling me that reality is real? And those could all be induced and created, which we can see now because we do have things like virtual reality. So that means that what you're seeing is not necessarily believing, because what you're seeing is something that somebody else has constructed. So if that can be so easily created, then how do we know that your smell,
our reality isn't?
Yeah, our reality isn't, you know. And so this man's the OG. He's been thinking about this shit since way back when, and he was like,
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. So he was basically like, the reason you know you exist is because you think, and therefore you are. And so I was like, okay, well, that's the only truth that I have in this entire world that exists, is that I know that I'm thinking, and so therefore there has to be some kind of truth out there. The scary part is that the truth that I'm living right now is not it. There's a chance that this reality that I live in could possibly not be a reality. And then, fucking stupid bitch, I watched The Matrix. and then everything went fucking sideways. So people hate so this is the thing about The Matrix, right? People really hate Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions because
of the CGI.
Because of the CGI, but also because they're like, there's so much talking and da-da-da-da. But The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolution are really important ideologies to think about, because in the beginning one, we're introduced to the idea that we have that there's a reality out there that isn't this one, but we're introduced to the idea that we have agency and choice and whether or not we can choose to participate in the truth or can stay asleep.
Wait, is Descartes the simulacra guy? The simulacrum?
Yeah, I think
right,
so.
okay.
I think so.
I referenced that for one of my essays, and I was like, that name sounds familiar. I didn't read it, though.
Don't worry, I'm that
lecture.
bitch as well. I be fucking like watching the videos and stuff because I'm a dumb bitch, man. This academia jargon is not the one.
We live in a time of video essays, and I'm very grateful.
Exactly. Thank fuck. And so basically, The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. Oh, sorry. Wait. For the audience, in case you don't know what Descartes was basically saying, he was basically saying that you cannot trust your senses to tell you that the reality that you live in is the truth, is the true reality, because the only thing you can really trust in is that your thoughts are there. Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions were really, really key to me because in The Matrix, the original one, we think of Neo as the special. We think, oh, he's the one, da-da-da-da-da-da. There's a certain element of power that evolves, that comes from outside of Neo's own person. The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions are all about him taking the locus of control and putting it back inside himself. So he comes into the architect's room, right? And the architect is like, yo, you're not really actually that special. There have been 6 the ones that came before you. They all got to the same place. And so, like, you know, you're really just another cog in the machine that is the Matrix. And we had to account for you. And this is the only way that we knew how. And so he was like, fuck, I'm not special. And we were all like, fuck, Neo's not special.
But he can fly like Superman.
But he can fly like Superman. And so then we had to grapple with we all have to grapple with the idea that what if I'm the 6th Pati? What if I'm the 6th version of me? And what if this is the 6th version of the world and the world has imploded and been recreated again like 6-7 times, and this is what we have to amount to every single time? And what if history is just bound to repeat itself again and again and again?
I mean, there's loads of theories about like time being cyclical, and also that whole thing with like, you know, that there's that sentiment that I find older people say a lot, like, oh, it's their first time round, or like they're an old soul.
Yeah.
Oh, it's their first time round. Don't worry, they'll get there next time. Like,
yeah. And so it's like, okay, well, okay, so what do y'all know that I don't know, you know? What is it, you know? But these philosophies, right, they all grapple with the idea of agency. That's the main thing that all of these philosophies are asking. The core question is, who is in control and is it me? And I think that is such a disempowering thing for me, because when I first came across these philosophies, because I was like, yo, what is the fucking point? Like, what is the point in me creating a music video like The Boy Who Cried Woman what if this is like the 5th time that Samoans have gone through this type of oppression? And what if we go extinct and that's just the way that like the cookie crumbles, you know? And what does it matter that what I do continues? And The Matrix, unfortunately, didn't fucking answer my question, because they gave as much depth and persona to the opposite argument, which was that Neo, the difference this time in this version of Neo is that the Oracle created love. So he created Trinity, right? And so Trinity is the reason why this Matrix is different and why the Matrix crumbles, because Neo chooses to save her as opposed to saving Zion. And so
I need to watch the next 2 movies.
They're so good, man. And like,
you know, they're doing a 4th one, eh?
Yeah,
I know. I don't know.
I'm just gonna plug my tablet in, or I'm gonna lose the recording and my laptop will die.
Okay. Yeah, man. I don't know if I can handle it, eh? my brain already.
Well, maybe they'll finally give you the answers you're looking for.
Hopefully.
In number 4.
Oh man, I hope so, because, you know, like, I think that at the end of the day, we're all looking for meaning, right? We're all trying to find out whether or not there is an actual purpose to this life that we lead, and whether that purpose is preordained or whether we have a what do you call it? Or whether we have some kind of control or effect on that purpose. And I've just decided, you know what, I can't know for certain whether the actions, the words that I'm about to say next were words that I'll wait for Cam to come back.
I think is he just plugging his computer in?
I think so, yeah.
And he's back.
Sorry. For Cam in the audience, basically what I was just saying was like, there's no way to know. I'll never know whether the words I say in this next sentence are preordained and they've been set out for me, or whether, I do have agency and they do come from my own brain. Because, there's even the idea, like Buddhists believe that thoughts are like clouds, they pass through you. That means, ultimately, that you have no control over what you think.
They don't come from you. They're just around.
Your thoughts didn't come from you, they're just around, they're just floating around, and so you can't control them so then I'm like, okay, well, this man told me that the only thing I have control over is my brain, and you motherfuckers just said to me that my brain
have control over it.
And so I'm like, which one is it,
I've had this
do I have
conversation a
control
couple
over
times.
anything?
Do I have control over it,
After parties, while inebriated, while walking home, like from West Auckland parties.
Yeah,
It's giving me mad flashbacks to year 13.
I love it. I love it because essentially this is the question we should all be asking is, what is the meaning of life? And do we have control over that meaning? And the only thing I can trust and hold on to is the fact that there is no meaning to life. There is no purpose of all of this. The only purpose is the one that I choose to create and the meaning that I give to life. And so that's where I'm at the moment. It's probably going to change next week. And you guys are going to check into one of my live streams and I'm going to be like, yo, this shit fucking sucks, bro.
By the time like we put this podcast up, you'll be like, what is she talking about?
What is she talking about? Yeah. Yeah.
You'll have moved on to Marxism and communism.
I will, yeah. Honestly. Well, that's another thing,
Oh, no.
Yeah, That's another one of my
bold
great
of you
passions.
to assume she's not already there.
Yeah, because I fucking hate capitalism with a passion.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my deepest convictions. But like Socrates said, we don't know anything. The other option could be worse. But
and also, given the current, lockdown situation, retail as a concept may just go under.
Yeah, exactly. I had high hopes that this pandemic would change the way that the world worked, because it's the first time I think we've ever all had to truly see the system for what it is and see its actual flaws. Like, they've all come to the surface. But I think looking back now, I had way too much hope in humanity, and that's
on
you
for being too optimistic.
Yeah. So, that's my recent delvings with philosophy, is just that,
And that's been leading to your breakdowns on Instagram Live.
My breakdowns on Instagram Live. I've been breaking down like this for quite a while, but I decided to make it public because I thought, if this reality means nothing, you know what? This will mean nothing as well. Yeah. So I'm gonna let everybody else can suffer with me.
To be honest, also, if I was grappling with existentialism and some random dude commenting on my live stream, I'd probably break down publicly as well.
Yeah. So, but also, not to drop the ball too quickly, but I have a new single that's coming out, and the music video deals with these topics. So I hope you guys will like that music video, because...
Do you have a release date yet we can plug for people to watch?
Oh, no, I don't have a release date yet.
Okay. Do you have a song name?
Me neither.
Yes.
I've got a song coming out at some point. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
I recorded an album, and maybe I'll do something with it.
I love it.
Should. It's very good.
I think you should, yeah.
What did you say the song was called?
Well, it's called Jennifer Lewis, but I don't know if I have the rights to that name nor to the sample just yet.
Oof.
So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm going to call it Jennifer Lewis anyway.
Worst comes to worst, you can just try again for the Leech's speech.
Exactly.
I know we've been down this road before, but
Exactly.
I was wondering.
Would you like to be the name for my song, which is written about existential dread?
Well, on that note, I think that brings us full circle.
Yeah.
That's been our theme for today.
Literally.
Full circle, world
Full
serpent.
circle, world serpent. Yeah. Eat the tail, bitch.
Thank you, Zazie Beats, for talking about Donald Glover introducing you to the fact that
Nothing's real.
Real.
Oh, Cameron's doing
The
his
simulation.
live stream 2 a.m. mood.
I love it. I love it.
That's just my 24/7 mood.
Yeah.
I'm live streaming.
Same.
Is
to my
there
family.
anything else you want to plug for what's happening next for Disciple Pati?
So what's happening next for Disciple Pati? You guys can tune into my Instagram live and my Facebook actually. I've decided that I'm going to start live streaming properly on Facebook just to talk about my existential dread and stuff and my philosophies on the world. Interestingly enough, some guy on one of my other Facebook lives was like, maybe you should stop, like, you're a singer, maybe you should stick to that. And I was like, bitch, this is my fucking genre. I know. So I was like, you know what, just to piss that one guy off, I'm gonna now
just give up on singing and just become a public speaker talking about existential dread. Yeah.
Literally, you know. So that's if you want to keep up with all of my philosophical like delvings and what I think about the world, make sure to tune into my live streams. I'm going to start doing them a bit more regularly. And my sister's also somebody who's really, really well educated, much better informed on these topics and knows the ins and outs and the nuances of them all. So she's going to be joining me. I've also got a new single coming out, guys. And if you do get the chance, I'm not pushing it too much now because I feel like it's a bit too premature to go for it full speed ahead. But if you do want to decide you want to vote for me for Pacific Artist of the Year or something, I think it is, you can go online to the PMA's website and vote there.
I did my voting last night.
Ah, thank you. What a bad bitch that Keegan is.
I thought you were going to say one bad host. And I was like, oh no.
Official decree by Disciple Pati, I am officially a bad bitch.
Velveteen Shakes is a bad bitch. So, yeah. And so is Cam.
Oh,
with multiple M's.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that was, I don't know why.
But yeah. Yeah.
Are you doing
very much for
the virtual jam cellar? Is that today?
Yes,
or?
I am. Sorry, yes,
today.
tonight
To plug that too.
Sorry, yeah, guys.
You and Iris G.
Yeah, me and Iris G.
That reminds me.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
We have one more.
We have one more question from our
from an audience viewer. Iris G would like to know if you will go on a date with her.
Period. Yes.
There you go, Iris G. That's just for you.
Yes, just for you. She already knows this.
Yeah, I know. I messaged her yesterday, like, "Hey, we're interviewing Disciple Pati tomorrow. Do you want us to say anything?" She was like,
"She's my biggest fan, bro."
She really is.
It cracks me up. I love it, but you know,
it's a pretty good source of content.
I know. What the fuck, Iris? You should have this much fucking gusto for yourself.
Yeah. Preach.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Come on the podcast.
Yeah. Period.
All right, Cameron's gone. I'm just going to record this last message from Disciple Pati.
From Disciple Pats. Yeah, guys. Please take your time. We are just literally, all of us are fumbling around in the fucking dark. None of us know what is happening in this world. We don't have any answers for anything. So if you want to take the time to just go out and figure out yourself before you start the music, you should give yourself permission to do so. Don't let other people dictate your art for you, and do what you want to do. That's the most important thing at the end of the day, and do it when you choose that the time is best, not on a timeline for everyone else. Because what matters most about the art is what you think about the art, not what other people think about the art. And if you put out something that you don't like and that you're not happy with, that at the end of the day, you will have to live with that for the rest of your life. So, you know, just remember that time is not of the essence. Time, there is always time. There's lots of it.
And that's on God.
And that's on God. I don't think
And
artists
women will inherit
get told
the
that
earth.
enough. Women will inherit the earth. Also, let's all return to the divine feminine. That is the only way forward, you know?
Both
By
All
the
of us.
concept itself and the
As-
Mac Miller
and-
album
Oh, has Mac Miller got an album?
called The Divine Feminine. Yes.
Shit, I might have to check
2016,
that.
I think.
Damn.
That was a good album.
You know what? That's coincidence. That's coincidence right there. That's a simulation. The Oracle's trying to tell me something.
There we
So,
go.
yeah.
There is no spoon, ladies and gentlemen, and
There is no spoon.
that's been the Velveteen Shakes podcast with Velveteen Shakes and Disciple Pati
Oh.
and our producer Cameron.
Yeah. Also, thank you so
Oh.
much to Velveteen Shakes and producer Cameron for having me on the show. You guys are really, really amazing hosts, and actually, this conversation has been really fucking awesome to have with
Aw.
you guys. You know?
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah, I
joining
had a
us.
lot of fun.